All right. We've had a lot of deep topics recently. Is that crazy? Um, Sexism Against Men: The Rise of Misandry by Echo Chamberlain. Chamberlain. I think that's how you say it. Yeah. We're gonna look at this. Also, please consider liking and subscribing. I appreciate it. YouTube is still falsely flagged me. I hope that gets resolved on Tuesday. If not, well, kind of cooked out here, but let's hope not. Let's hope not. Let's hope not. Regardless, we're gonna look at this. Yeah, misandry has been on the rise, especially with the recent, right? It's mostly being bred on TikTok, but it spreads from there to anywhere else. Um, what's also rather interesting is, right, if you've seen the recent Sabrina Carpenter thing where like a crowd was cheering men are useless. Yeah, so useless that the men are responsible that you can even have this concert. Regardless, we're gonna look at this.
Casual sexism is on the rise against men. This is pretty much A-OK in the culture and media, with any female entertainer or ad producer having carte blanche to do the same in reverse, and slap on it notions like
Fun fact. Doing the same that the other side doesn't make you better than the other side, or like empowerment or stronger, or like better, right? It just makes you the same. You are racist you're racist to racists. You're not better. You're just the same. Just more of the same.
empowerment, a dose of the same medicine, narrative claiming little pokes at patriarchy, and assertive attitude. Chapel Roan, who looks like Kate Bush dragged backward through a bush, said, "I'm never dating a man again. I'm not attracted to them. I don't like having sex with them. I don't think they understand me. I don't think they make good."
That's rather interesting, considering that the most famous artists in human history are men. You're never dating a man again, but you have dated men before. You're not attracted to them, but you have dated them before. You don't want to sleep with them, but you have slept with them before. It's rather interesting. It's rather, you can throw those out there if you're like straight, but like cuz you want to be celibate, right? Sure. You don't sleep with men. But remember, this is a celebrity, and celebrities are always hypocrites. They never do what they say they do. They are always hypocrites. I don't ever take them seriously whatsoever, right? Remember when hashtag Me Too happened? And then in the same vein, the protected multiple predators in Hollywood. Never trust them again. Never. Don't. Just don't. Never take them seriously. Right? Never. Ever. At all.
Art. Yeah, in terms of art, I don't think men are going to be brought down too many pegs by some chick whose thickly slathered cosmetics make her look like peak coked up Ziggy Stardust era David Bowie crossed with an exotic rainforest parrot who shrieks, "Knee deep in the passenger seat and you're eating me out," or "Get your baby, kiss your mom, call me up and I'm your dog." The worst, though, is Sabrina Carpenter, the most manufactured person in existence, and whose casual misandry is basically an element of her brand. Imagine if a male artist made a music video showing women getting deleted and physically dispatched and done with. Picking up on the trend, The Economist published an article titled, "A Wave of Songs is Taking Aim at Substandard Men." It's doubtful The Economist would run an article titled, "A Wave of Songs is Taking Aim at Substandard Women." On Manchild, Carpenter complains about how immature.
Yeah, imagine men ran around right now and, basically made lots of derogatory songs about women in that way, right? I'm not meaning like right, like the rap stuff that is happening, right? This has been a case for a long time, even for female rappers. Like, even those female rappers sing about how much they, are hoes. It's self-inflicted at this point, honestly. Regardless, here in Germany we have the exact same issue. Though here it's not Sabrina Carpenter, it is somebody called Ikime. And what she basically sings about is babies are cute unless it's boys. They're not rather bored with substance abuse, right? She mentioned like alcohol and something else, right? So like she's like advocating for the abortion of baby boys. You get the idea. And people are like, "Oh, you don't understand the song. It's deeper than that." I'm like, "No, no, it's not. No, it's not at all. There's nothing to. If a man sang in a deep way about aborting baby girls, you'd be shocked. Shut up. You're just letting it slide because a woman said it."
Men can be. Stupid, or is it slow? Maybe it's useless, but there's a cuter word for it. I know, man-child.
I'm disappointed in your species.
Here's the thing. Your misandrist content can be partial.
Sadly, there is no term for women that are like that. The woman child. And if you apply the same standards to women that they apply to men they call man children, then we'd have like a large portion of woman children, about maybe like 50%, maybe 60, who knows.
Performative, but still be misandrist. In fact, it can be worse, because if it's literal, then deal with it. And if it's partly satirical, then you can't grasp or cope with layers of subtext, so more fool you. Deal with it. Both suck. Both are misandrist. So if Carpenter reveals the key to writing hits is call men stupid in as many ways as you can, it's annoying and stupid if it's literal, and annoying and stupid if it's tongue-in-cheek. These lyrics are interpreted by blockhead commentators as blunt, sexual positive, and defensive of her personal boundaries, rather than literal
See, it's kind of funny, right? At the end of the day, right, you have to look at this. She is, right? She's basically like making anti-men songs, but she's literally sexualizing herself for the attention of feminist men. I found that very interesting. It also is very interesting. The entire movement has failed, right? Feminism. Because the idea of feminism was also to desexualize women's bodies. The destruction of sexualization of women, right? Including, but not limited to, corn industry. Look where we are now. Look where we are now. Funny, isn't it? You wanted freedom, and you're now more of a slave than you've ever been to your boss, to society. You're essentially just the second-rate man, and completely removed from your femininity and your womanhood, because now you're just as stressed and overworked and objectified as a man is. Because see, objectification is not only on a sexual basis, right? Viewing men as nothing but consumers, right, and people in general right now, is objectification. Viewing them as an asset and like money, access to money, is objectification. They always seem to forget that.
Misandry. They supposedly function as a critique of male behavior, positioning her as a confident figure who doesn't tolerate man-children, so therefore they're about unabashedly having high standards. Carpenter and Rowan are just adopting a satirical, assertive tone that critiques immature men and failed relationships. Songs like Man-Child and Tears, they say, highlight themes of frustration with men's behavior, while embracing themes of female empowerment, sexual agency, and playful cynicism. No, screw any defense on the grounds of irony, because men have their own variations of playing the satire card, and society has gotten tired of that, so it's also about time we called out bullshit female equivalents. Guy variations are stuff like a rapper who blathers whole tracks of misogynistic rhymes, who then claims irony, or that he's just playing, or that he's somehow indemnified because of his background or upbringing, and it would be judgmental from a place of privilege for him to be called out in it. Or a guy who tries his luck and comes across as a bit creepy, who impinges upon a lady a little, who has an attitude, who overplays his hand, who then affects to mellow out with a broad grin and says, "I'm only kidding," or "Relax, don't take things so seriously," as if the whole flirting thing were just relatable teasing, and the woman might by implication be a bit stuck up or uptight if she also doesn't wryly smile and acknowledge the abrupt change in tone. In gender relations, such ironies can have a nastiness to them when deployed by men and, in their own variations, by women. Also, rather than
True and real. He is speaking truth here. One isn't good, the other one isn't good either. It's the same shit all again. And we are now in a perpetual cycle. We always have misandry breeds misogyny, this misogyny results in misandry, and so far, we're in a loop, we're in the death spiral, where, like, eventually we'll reach a point where men and women are so disconnected from each other that, well, we're seeing this right now. We're seeing it. No relationships, no marriage, no families. Men are avoiding women are avoiding men at all cost. We already have it.
thinking men are lame, maybe do some self-reflection and ask, is there something about my persona that attracts inadequate or wimpy men? Or, put the other way, do high-value decent men not find me appealing, and therefore, when I hook up with the messy ones, am I projecting my frustrations onto masculinity as a whole? This would require some degree of accountability. But we're talking about broads here, so of course that would never happen.
Oh, I've been internalizing a really complicated situation in my head.
She disported herself on the cover of Rolling Stone with her signature, looking brain dead like a doll, but actually it's kind of ironic, and I'm a shrewd self-marketer and manipulator of my image, but no, actually she's at a deeper irony, just a plastic superficial hoe expression. One commenter wrote, "This is the least sexual image. It's simply a feminine figure nude, with hair covering intimate areas.
It is still sexualized. It is meant to be sexualized. The intent is sexualization. Because at the core, the intent is, to be fair, all of these big pop stars, if you want to call them that, and like superstars and like female singers, not all of them, but like this type, is just essentially teaching women to be hoes. That's the entire job, and that's the psyop. They're essentially teaching women it's okay to essentially hoe around. That's pretty much what it is.
It's reminiscent of The Birth of Venus by Botticelli. If we're viewing any image of a nude body as sexual, we're dangerously straying into conservatism here." What? This isn't a stylish evocation of Botticelli's masterpiece. It's a second-rate gassed-up mid with strata layers of makeup showing her ass. Secondly, regarding something as superficial, tawdry, vulgar, and trashy doesn't automatically make you conservative. It just means you have basic things like taste, discretion, and an eye for sophistication and quality, which doesn't mean you have to appreciate some lobotomized Rapunzel. The extent to which blame can be apportioned to men in the modern age is almost hilarious. They are to blame for being presumptuous and approaching women in public, impinging upon them when they have a right not to be bothered. And they're also to blame for losing their nerve in failing to approach women in public, leading to many women lamenting that men don't hit on them anymore. They're even responsible for not getting women knocked up. Finally, men are getting the blame for female unplanned childlessness.
Which is crazy. So we're blamed for not approaching women while being told we're not supposed to approach women. We're blamed for not being able to be fathers, but at the same time, we're told that motherhood is a trap, and of course, like, why would you want to trap a woman into motherhood? How exactly is this supposed to work? See, you can't blame us for the thing we're not doing, when we're told to not do it, right? This doesn't work. And on the flip side, we see, however, women responding to things that they say are disgusting, abhorrent. I mean, the best example is Clavicula. Look at Clavicula, right? Look at him, okay? Look at him. Think of the man what you want. But he's the epitome of what's wrong when it comes to the way women date. They cheat on their boyfriends because he looks good. What are we doing? What are we doing? Right? It's crazy. It's crazy. It goes even further, right? So you don't want us to approach. So it's like, the problem is, like, you would all of the traditional things without taking anything, without playing by traditional rules. You want men to approach, you want men to take you out on dates, you want a man to You want men to plan for you. You want men to take on the responsibility of the husband. But you want none of that. You don't want to be a girl. You don't want to be a girlfriend. You don't want to be a wife. You don't want to take on the traditional role. But you want men to be traditional. How does this work exactly? Like like how does this work? You can't demand one side to play by the rules while you refuse to. That's parasitic. That's like taking and only taking and never giving back.
A new report reveals that men's immaturity is partly to blame for the crash in the birth rate. Finally, people can see what women are up against. Oh, fuck. Misandry starts young.
Nah. The reason is promiscuity. Overall, promiscuity causes societal decay. Because of promiscuity, we are not building relationships. Society does not it is not built by individuals, right? It's not individuals that form society. It's relationships that form society. And one side currently, when we especially look at the political spectrum, has been radicalized. That's women, mostly. When we look at like the little nice graphs with like who ran more to the left, men are pretty much still as conservative as they used to be back in the day. Women, however, are not. They're like far away from that. They have been radicalized, which is a problem. And back to promiscuity. If you decide that you want to do what you want to do, others will also eventually decide you want to do that you want to do. So there's like society that you can like imagine being like as a house being built by bricks, decays bit by bit. So now we have a problem. We let promiscuity rule, which means there will be no relationships formed, no families, and therefore no children. It all starts with promiscuity. It all started with the sexual revolution. The only way we can fix that is to reverse that, to promote marriage, to promote to switch back our focus, our culture back to like marriage instead of like do whatever you want to do, right? Like do whatever feels good in the moment, and switch back to do what is good and what is right. Not much to say here.
For guys. Teachers have been proven to be biased in the marking of girls' schoolwork. An OECD international report on gender in education across.
I wonder if I'll be a teacher in the future. I wonder if I can fix that a little bit, or like contribute to fixing that, because I would certainly not promote this gender bias. That's not happening. Everyone gets the same grades if they perform well, the same way.
Across more than 60 countries, found that girls receive higher marks compared with boys of the same ability. Researchers suggest girls are better behaved in class, and this influences how teachers perceive their work. There is a consistent pattern of girls' work being marked up. Teachers are said to reward organizational skills, good behavior, and compliance, rather than objectively marking pupils' work. It also raised questions whether this really benefited girls. Is it a good thing? Maybe in the short run you get a better school certificate, said the OECD's education director. In the long run, the world is going to penalize you because the labor market doesn't pay you for your school marks, it pays you for what you can do. In a more recent study in the British...
Correct, right? You get paid for what you can do, not for your marks, right? That's always the problem. But here's also a thing, right? It takes the opportunity away from boys. That's a pretty obvious one, right? It takes away the opportunity from boys, which is rather unfortunate. I wish that wasn't the case. I know that is the case. I wish it wasn't. And we have more and more boys dropping out of school, out of college, out of education, out of society as a whole, right? We have like a lot of boys just like, oh, like, nope, I'm done. Which, again, leads us to promiscuity. Because if you can't, right, a lot of men still want wives and children and families, right? But if as a guy you can't do that, then what's the point? So now we have some of the bricks that I was mentioning, not just like doing their own thing, destabilizing it, right? The house. They're just like leaving the house entirely and no longer contributing to society due to that, which is unfortunate, again. But what can you do? The ladies have unfortunately been propagandized, and now we have a problem here.
Journal of Sociology of Education, teachers were also shown to give higher grades to girls than to boys with the same academic ability, suggesting teachers are hardwired to give girls higher marks. The size of the gap is considerable and could have significant long-term consequences, both on college admission and employment prospects, the researchers said. Holy shit, has that bias against young men been borne out lately? And not just in terms of admissions, but in the character and societal esteem of college. Humanities enrollments are down 12% in the last 5 years. Many young men have opted against humanities degrees, perceiving that they have depreciated in cultural significance and depreciated in financial and career prospects. An Institute for Fiscal Studies found that women graduate.
Well, can I read these? Are these readable? 5 reasons men are giving up on dating. Vice, we don't trust Vice. Gen Z's romance gap. Nearly half of young men aren't dating. Well, that does already include me because I got scarred too much because promiscuity. Men, where have you gone? Please come back. No. The women have deadly lasers.
Found that women graduating from the University of Bolton earn around 10% less by the age of 29 than women who didn't attend university at all. There's an even stranger twist in.
It gets even funnier. See, if you go by that, right? We're supposed to be like quote unquote equal, right? Equality is the whole thing, right? That's why we are at the point where we are, right? But when you look at women's dating preferences, there's always a man who does and has more. So if you have more women than men finishing college, you're eventually going to end up with not enough men in the pool that have finished college, which means that these women that want to have college educated men and also college educated men with college educated money, you're going to be cooked because there are no men that are like that. Eventually they're going to be gone, right? So what are we doing with this? What are we doing with this? That's the question. Are you going to share the men? Which destabilizes society even more?
This tale. Attractive female students no longer earned higher grades when classes moved online during COVID. When education is in person, attractive students receive higher grades in non-quantitative subjects in which teachers tend to interact more with students compared to quantitative courses.
Yeah, I kind of, that doesn't surprise me. That doesn't surprise me. Okay, that's not really something that you can put on the women. I probably can imagine that attractive young men also get higher grades. Good-looking people get higher grades. That's not surprising, really. Is it? Not really. Nah.
Swedish university study found that attractive female students got higher grades in subjective, non-quantitative courses during in-person teaching, but that edge vanished when classes moved online. I don't even fucking know what to make of that. Women will lament the inadequacies of men and criticize their behavior in general, but there's a hypocrisy here. As dating apps reveal, very attractive men don't benefit from tailoring their behavior to women's preferences because they're pursued without regard for their behavior. Women will experience some
Correct. That's the problem. The problem is, however, that like these higher attractive men will obviously play with women that are not on their level, right? Because they have options. These women, however, then believe they deserve a what we call alpha widow. They then believe that they deserve this certain caliber of men, which means they won't date any other men that are on their level. And now we're cooked, and now they're saying they hate all men when it's only the selective few men, like the 7, the 8s, the 9s, the 10s, that actually like are just like doing it for the love of the game, right? Dating for the love of the game because they don't have to settle. That's why we need to go back to the old model. So the old model had pretty much an equal distribution. You had men and women dating on the same level, pretty much. And now we're like on this like weird hypergamous thing where like the lower half of men is like goodbye, and the more upper half of men is like, yo, it's time for game. And all the women are all miserable. That's pretty much what it is.
Logical impulse to lower their IQ by about 30.
I'm referring to Home Math here, who did a great video on that and does great videos on that.
3% around such attractive men, becoming more cutesy, eyes rounding in emphatic agreement. So these young guys saunter through their existence with the impression attractive women are cheerful creatures who live in a state of emotional primary colors. When a 30-year-old woman sits in her car, turns on her camera, and weeps to the internet, sometimes sniffing and gazing into an aggrieved middle distance with emotionally spent, incredulous, vague headshakes, the comment section will be a fortress of validation. Your standards aren't too high, men are just intimidated by your success.
Imagine needing to marry a woman that has nothing else to offer but her looks. You can't talk to her. You can't do anything with her. You can't, you don't share any hobbies. You don't even have the same beliefs only because she's... Imagine dating a person that's so ugly, the only thing she has to offer is, the only thing that person has to offer is their looks. Wow, we're cooked.
Dating pool is trash. It's not your fault. Her being overwhelmed is framed as a hapless entanglement in a systemically flawed society. No such extent of empathy would be extended to a man sitting in his car in similar circumstances. After years of social...
Yeah, true. If you see a guy crying, there is the worst cases, everyone will be clowning on him, right? Especially if it's like for like kind of minuscule reasons. Especially then, right? While a woman would more so be coddled. That is unfortunately reality.
Logical prompting and prodding to divest himself of inhibiting traditional staunch masculinity and more fulsomely embrace emotional expressiveness, he would, in his situation, be told to stop being flaky and even be chastised as an example of the kind of inadequate man female singers routinely send up now. Women have created a strange disconnect in how they frame their fantasies. In ice hockey erotica fiction, or eye-popping, collar-twitching and loosening, egregiously horny romantasy fiction, the masculine archetypes are described as more traditional beefcake, aloof, tall, six-pack flourishing, toned types. But without literal visual stimuli, they are brought to life in the reader's imagination as a customizable ideal. Whereas on screen, in literal visual fixed embodiments, they are leaner, more pretty, more diffident, more androgynous, less demonstrably and traditionally masculine. So, in the intimate secrecy of the latent realm of the mind, the preferred male hottie is brought vividly to life. But in the more socialized, culturally influenced gender politics realm of film and streaming, they prefer, or alleged to prefer, more passive, de-adrenalized, conventional simps and unthreatening nicer types of men. The consequences in Hollywood of this dulling down are also drearily clear. They're literally having to scour agencies looking for traditional...
What did men do to deserve this? Nothing. I didn't do anything. Yeah, you essentially imploded masculinity, classic masculinity, with nothing to replace it. And now we're here. That's pretty much what it is. And this isn't just the women's fault. This is also the men's fault, because we let the women of our society get so easily propagandized that now but they believe we are the enemy, which is basically what they want. Because consider this, the biggest beneficiary of this whole thing is the state, because everything has to be bought twice. Consider this, big guys and big girls. Have you ever considered that they only wanted to have men and women both in the workforce? Because after that, they could, double literally the manpower and productivity. Maybe not double, but like, you get the idea, right? At least 1.5 times, maybe 1.75 times. than the initial workforce, right? Then they could control your children through the school. Then they started to separate you, right? Also, you double the spending, right? Now you have to buy everything twice. Two sets of forks, two sets of spoons, two TVs, two times electricity, two times the water bill. You get the idea where I'm going with this.
Archetypes. Love story producers say masculine men are hard to find. We're not making those guys anymore. Executive producer Brad Simpson recently shared that casting JFK Jr. was hard. We were 3 weeks away from shooting, and we still had not cast him. We'd seen every male actor between the ages of 25 and 38. Part of it was just that sort of 80s old-school masculinity. A man with hair in his chest, sort of Richard Gere, Tom Selleck, the classic chiseled looks. We're not making those guys anymore, for some reason, and we really needed to have that. What the likes of Sabrina Carpenter, that manufactured entertainer, don't appreciate is that women can love and adore men, tragically, with a beautiful fatalism, and it can be feminine and classic. These talentless hacks should take a tip from Amy Winehouse. So much music nowadays is so like, you don't know me, I don't need you. And all the music then was kinda like, I don't care if you don't love me, I will lie down on the road, pour my heart out and show it to you. Sadly, in this age of casual sexism, casual misandry, Amy Winehouse's covals don't know what that means.
Yeah, it's sad. Amy Winehouse is a sad story. Yeah, it's just, yeah, I think all of this has one core problem that can be pinpointed at a specific point in our history. And I think all of our problems can be literally found on one section and one time frame. The sexual revolution. Anyways, thank you for watching. Please consider liking and subscribing, and I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys.